Hello, my friends. Happy Christmas Eve. I don't know if you celebrate Christmas or not. If we take out the Christian religiousness aspect of it, I actually think Christmas is a very cool holiday. I think it's definitely come from our indigenous shamanic traditions, and we definitely should, at the shortest night of the year, which this isn't, but technically it kind of is close enough, that we should celebrate the things that are most important, which is love, happiness, connection. These are the most important things we have. So I'm going to be reading just who knows how much of my book Happiness, which I wrote, had to have been 12 years ago, I'm thinking. And just recently I turned that into an audiobook. You can get it at audiobooks.thunderwizard.com with a bunch of other stuff. And, I think I'm going to sneeze in a second here. Hang on. Am I? It's trying to come out. I knew it. My psychic prediction was accurate. I was talking at one point with my teacher a while back. We were talking about a third person. I don't remember what we were talking about, but he said, I think, or we might have been talking about me now that I think about it. He said, I think people can have everything that they want. And I said, I agree, because I do. I came to that conclusion on my own, but brilliant minds think alike. So he had the same feeling. And I really would like for you to believe that as well. That you can have everything you truly want. Not everything you think you want. Not everything based on your fears. You want to be a billionaire, you want to have 6 Rolls Royces, you want to be president of the European Union, I don't know what. People think they want all kinds of stuff, but as you know, oftentimes that comes from fear. And you think that if you have a lot of stuff, you'll be happy. But that's not how it works. Happiness comes from authentically knowing your soul, what it is that you truly desire, and achieving what you truly desire. And you can't achieve what you truly desire if you don't first start with the belief that the universe, left to itself, would provide you with that. So let me just give you that bit of a mindset. That if you just were able to be in your authentic self, experience your authentic self, live from there, and acknowledge that, if you just did nothing, the universe would give you everything you truly want. So because we live in 3D and we live in isolation, and we do have things like fear and narcissism and feelings of devaluation that are programmed into us, then unfortunately, if you're like me, then you have to work your tail off to just know what it is you truly want. And then you have to take a lot of action, go against all of your internal false survival programming, which is what it is, which is, in case you want to know why it's so difficult to act contrary to your instincts to do what it is you truly want. If you want to know why sometimes it feels like it's killing you, is because your false programming has been entrained into your survival mechanism. So you really are going against your false survival instincts. That's why it's so confusing and difficult. So in any case, I do believe that we can have everything that we want if we're able to connect to ourselves. And speaking for myself, all the other stuff that we're talking about, which I'm not going to focus on tonight, but all the stuff that we're talking about in the thunderwizard.com, the shamanic, the interdimensional shamanic meditation course. It's just the easiest hack there is. You can actually go directly to the architects of the universe who will reprogram you. And you can save yourself thousands of lifetimes and achieve happiness much more quickly. Anyway, that's not the focus of today's video. Today we're going to read from, if I can find it. There it is. We're going to read from my book, Happiness. And we're going to read from the chapter entitled The Cause of Depression. Because it's very hard to just force yourself to be happy. And one of the things that I talk about in this book, which has been very important for me, is to not just simply try and force yourself into being happy because that's what a spiritual person does, or, all love and light. We have to be honest. We have to first start with how we are actually feeling and experience those feelings. We need to take actions that shift our nervous system and our neurons and our experience and shift us out of a bunch of other stuff. But we have to be honest about how we feel. Anyway, so the title of this chapter is The Cause of Depression. Here I go. I once heard a definition of depression that revolutionized my understanding about what the root of happiness is. Understanding that particular definition of depression changed how I work with myself through times when I feel hopeless and depressed. According to this source, quote, "The emotional state of depression arises within a person when he or she cannot envision a future for themselves," unquote. This indicated to me that when we are separated from a conscious awareness of our life path, we feel a crushing sense of hopelessness that we term as depression. In this state, we don't know where we are going in life, or worse yet, we feel dread when we imagine ourselves continuing on our current life path. We may hate our job, our career, our relationships, or we may not know where to direct our energies. When we are in this state of not being able to envision a future for ourselves, no amount of trying to feel good is going to solve the core issue here. We will not be able to simply turn that frown upside down. Any short-term approach to happiness will be short-lived, since the root of our depression will not have been addressed. Rediscovering your purpose. What needs to take place in order to banish this kind of depression is for us to rediscover our innate heart's desire for our lives. What's that? You don't know what your heart's desire is? Don't worry, you haven't forgotten, but you may have unknowingly talked yourself out of your innate life purpose. Perhaps you have never accepted your innate life path, but it can be recovered. We all can decide to live happy, fulfilled lives. This knowledge of who you are and what you are destined to do with your life is hardwired into your mind, body, and soul. And I am going to help you find it again. It is a very simple process to rediscover your life purpose. And before you put this book down, I believe you will know exactly what you are supposed to do with your life. And I believe you will be able to reverse any hopelessness connected with this confusion. What is really wonderful about this approach to depression is that it is possible to completely and instantly reverse the depression and immediately replace it with hope and vibrant happiness. If you are having difficulty envisioning a future for yourself, the good news is that your ideal future is already within you, waiting to be revealed to you. Once you have regained a conscious awareness of your innate life purpose and the future it contains, you will automatically begin to feel a state of happiness return to you. If depression is an inability to envision a future, then happiness is knowing what you are supposed to do in the present, which will create for you your future. Sorry, I just had to sneeze again. Okay, so I want to stop here for just a second, because to me, this is, speaking for myself. I think I probably speak for most people. Perhaps not everybody's exactly like me in this regard, but I think I speak for most people. We are wired to know what it is we want to do. Now, as I say that, I know that there are some of you out there that still don't know. I know for some of you, I know because I've worked with some of you, for some of you, this is a very vexing question. You can't seem to figure out what it is that you want, what it is that your soul desire is. And I think there's probably all kinds of different reasons for that. I think the basic reason is that if you can't honestly know what it is that gives you the greatest joy, not what you're supposed to do in the world, what your purpose is, not how you're going to make money or how you're going to be a successful person in society and be accepted, those are all judgments, all of them. They have nothing to do with your feelings. They're all about, basically, they're all ways of pleasing mommy and daddy. That's what we did as infants. We wanted to please mommy and daddy. So actually, if you're in that state where you can't bring yourself to know what you want for yourself, don't take this personally, but it means that you've regressed, or have been in this regard, regressed all the way back to an infant or toddler, where you don't individuate. So let's talk about the word individuation for a moment. Individuation is a great word. Of course, it comes from individual. It means to create an individual within yourself. It is the goal of all psychotherapy and the goal of all spirituality. It's really what, Buddhism is really about, individuation. It's not even a religion. It's just a kind of an interesting sort of psychological perspective. So to be individuated means that your sense of self, your identity, your existence, your purpose has nothing to do with anybody else or anything else outside of you. You are individuated. So it's interesting that, we're focused on narcissism, and there's no shortage of videos and books about how to avoid the narcissist, how to get even with the narcissist. Narcissists want this, all of that. We're focused on narcissists. And our perspective of narcissists is that they are too selfish. They're just into themselves. We might even think that they're super individuated. But the truth is that they are the least individuated, because all of their happiness, if you can call it that, all of their pleasure comes from things outside of them. They need to abuse people. They need to use people, steal from people. They need people's attention in order to turn themselves into the God they think they want to be. There's nothing individuated about that, which is why Jehovah is not God. Jehovah is a narcissist. So whenever you worship Jehovah in any of his forms, you're actually worshiping your own narcissistic ego. It's a projection. You're worshiping your parents. You're worshiping the introjected narcissist in your brain that was programmed into you by your parents and your society. So when you're individuated, you have the ability to know what you want, what you're feeling, what you truly want to go after. So that's the core issue. So I think that's the main one, but I don't think that's the only thing. I think there are people who have, they may have some kind of syndromes, they might have maybe some wiring isn't quite right in their brain. Maybe they have things like ADHD, or I'm just throwing stuff out. I don't know anything about these things, but I run into people who have their thinking is just going crazy all the time, and they can't even get out of their head long enough to know what they're feeling. Their head is spinning so fast and yelling at them so fast, they wouldn't know what they're feeling at any given point. And then there are people, I have to be honest, people who aren't in that category, but I have to be honest, I don't truly understand these people, because I've always been very aware of what my feelings are. That's, even in my most dysfunctional state, when I've been, destructive to myself and or others, I've always known what I was feeling. Or at least I could get to those feelings if I chose to. But there are people who honestly don't know what they're feeling from one moment to the next. If you say, so what are you feeling right now? They will say, I don't know. Give me a second. I have to think about it. And they can't get to it. I don't understand that. But these are all things that can get in the way between you and knowing what it is that you are thinking and feeling at any given moment. So for me to know what it is that I want to do, I have to be willing to take my fears and just sort of not focus on them. I may not be able to get rid of them. The same fears that you have: fear of finances, fear of health, fear of, are things going to work for me the way that I want? Am I going to be able to get my visa to go overseas? Am I going to have enough money? Is my business going to keep going? Are the projects I'm working on, are they going to turn into something? Am I going to trip and fall and crack my head open? All this stuff that we worry about, all kinds of things. If I can take that and put that aside, then if I'm having difficulty knowing what I want, for me, it's because I'm in conflict. And the conflict always revolves around what my soul wants to do, which may not seem very smart. It may not seem like it's going to be able to support me, and give me the resources that I need. There's that, and then there's the part of me that wants to fit in, wants to look good, wants to, follow old programs, which means pleasing mommy and daddy. I want to do the right thing. I want to have a cushy career that I can lean back on. Those are all external things based on fear, and we all go through them. So for me, the way to do it is to identify what the conflict is, and to do, now here's the thing. Just because I know what the conflict is, let's say, for instance, I want to be a ballerina, and I come to the realization that tough guys where I grew up, back in the 1970s, if I went and said to any of the guys in my neighborhood that I want to wear a tutu and be a ballerina, I would be in the hospital very quickly. It's like, the white bird that's, the white crow is just going to get attacked by all the other crows because it's just such an anomaly. It's so frightening. You're so different that people have to attack you. And, tough guys where I grew up, when I grew up, guys were tough. They had to be tough, and they had to not have feelings and not have any weakness. And so if I had said that, they would have put me in the hospital pretty quickly. So that would be an example of a very understandable conflict. Even if here I am, in my, I'm almost in my 60s now. Here I am now. If I were to say to myself, you know what I want to do? I want to put on a tutu and be a ballerina. That's what's really going to make me happy. The first thing that's going to pop up is, what are people going to think? All the guys from my neighborhood are going to come and beat me up. Girls aren't going to want. I'm old and I don't have a very nice, looking body like I would have if I was, 25 and 145 pounds. I'm not going to be a very good ballerina. Well, that's a conflict. And it's a conflict based on wanting to look good, wanting to be accepted. I'm not minimizing it. It would be a really traumatic conflict. So I don't want to minimize your conflict. But it doesn't change anything. It's still a very simple solution. That doesn't mean it's easy. And just because I can identify it as a very simple solution, well, identify your conflict and then do the opposite of the thing that's telling you if you don't do this, you're going to die. Do the opposite of that. Just because it's simple and I lay it out for you clearly doesn't mean that you're going to be able to simply make the decision to do it. So this is where spirituality comes in. Spirituality is really the only solution. Now, by spirituality, I don't mean religion. I mean the 90-day challenge. I mean, any of the energy practices that we do. Anything that connects you to something greater than yourself, whether that be walking in the forest and feeling the power of the rainforest, looking at the moon, the sun. I don't care. It doesn't, whatever works for you. But turning your, as they say in the 12 steps, turning your will and your life over to that power that is greater than you is when you are able to gain the power. This is why this is important. You have to have the power of infinity to make a decision that goes against your survival instincts. Because your survival instinct is the strongest urge and power within you. And even though it's very unfortunate that for most people they have been programmed incorrectly and their self-preservation instinct is actually working against them, it doesn't change the fact that it is more powerful than your decision. You can't just simply decide to go and in my case, if I decided to become a 59-year-old, 205-pound ballerina in a tutu, there's no power inside of me that would give me the ability to make that decision if that were truly my soul desire, which thankfully it's not. But if I were aware that that was my soul desire and it was this difficult, I could reach out. I could reach out to a power greater than myself in whatever spiritual path I chose, and I could turn my will and my life over to the rainforest, to quantum physics, to the power of gravity, to the power of the sun, to the moon, to the ocean, to whatever deity you want. If I did that, just that, my brain is wired. My brain is wired from millions of years of shamanic practices in my human ancestry. My brain is wired when I do that to then give me the ability to take actions that seem to go against my survival. And now you have a different understanding of the term that my ancestors taught, which is when you, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. When you're willing to die to that part of your survival instinct that is more powerful than anything in you, and you're willing to do the thing that represents death to you, may even represent death, might even kill you. There are people that die for doing what they love. If you're willing to do that, you achieve everything. You achieve your fulfillment, you achieve your happiness, but you have to be willing to look at yourself. You have to be willing to know what your conflicts are, and that's not always the simplest thing to do. All right, I'm going to read a little bit more, and then I'll open it up for discussion if we want to do that. So the next chapter is entitled The Freedom of Happiness. Happiness is a state of being conscious of our freedom in the moment to live a purposeful life. Depression, on the other hand, is a state of hopelessness. Hopelessness is a feeling of being held captive. Without the ability to imagine a future for oneself, we experience the same kinds of emotions that people who are held captive or imprisoned feel. Hopelessness imprisons us in a state of existence where there is no escape, no freedom. Many people mistakenly but understandably feel that having more money will bring them more freedom and therefore more happiness. But unlike what we may have been taught through movies or other media, money alone does not bring freedom. Many people with money, fame, and success are often very depressed. I'm sure you can bring to mind at least a few celebrities who seemingly had the perfect lives filled with money, fame, and success, who either destroyed their lives or committed suicide. For them, our society's accepted ideas of success did not give them the sense of freedom we might expect. We are going to discover together the sense of freedom that is associated with true happiness. So, the next two exercises, let me see, do I want to do these exercises? No, you'll have to get the book to go through that. I don't want to take you through a meditation right now. So if you want to see what that exercise is for that, you can go get the book Happiness by me on Amazon or on audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. All right, I'm happy now to take any questions if there are any, or if there's any. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on here. Vincent.thunderwizard.com says hello. He is one of my Vedic astrologers, and he has his own website, vincent.thunderwizard.com. He has an honest feeling. He says, when I first started working with you during therapy in Coda, it was hard to identify and communicate my feelings, and they were overwhelming, but now it's easier and I feel safer. Yep, that's it. You just do the work, and you're doing it. So you do the work, and things become pretty clear. All right, so makes sense to me. It's Christmas Eve. I can understand why people are off doing other stuff. I know if I had family or friends, I'm sure I would be with them. But being who I am, and I'm waiting to leave. I mean, just to let you know, I live in the tropics. I live in Florida, and it is so cold. It is so freaking cold right now that there was ice, big patches of ice that never melted all day. And it's freezing. It's going to get below freezing again tonight. The whopping high tomorrow is going to be in the low 40s. Welcome to tropical Florida, ladies and gentlemen. I got here a year ago, and I'm remembering why I hated it when I got here. I can't stand this. I can't wait to get back to, when I get to Australia, it'll be summertime. It'll be like 85 degrees, and the water will be 85 degrees, and I assume I will be very happy again. Anyway, I'm giving you time to write any questions if there are any. I don't see one. So Erdwick, I usually prefer questions or feelings, but let me see. You say, hello, I just started your content. How should I start? It's a great question. Right here, thunderwizard.com. Go to that website. That is a subscription site where you can learn in order everything that I've taught. The reason I created that was people would go, you have so much content, you have so much books, I don't know where to go. So I literally created it starting from step 1 all the way through step Z. And there are multiple levels, so go there and check it out. My suggestion for everybody should go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Do that. If you do that, you'll have access to the Interdimensional Shamanic Meditation course, which I've just created. You'll have access to the Manifestation Mastery course. You'll also have access to the Shamanism Mastery course, as well as you will have access to the Triune Energy system that I'm the only person in the world that has ever taught, this unified system where I combine high-level Chi energy, Kundalini energy, and the lightning energy of the heart. So you're asking, where do you start? Right there. That's why that link is there. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. You got nothing to lose. It'll cost you less than what it would for you to buy a coffee at Starbucks every other day. I don't know why everybody isn't subscribed. Anyway, so that's the answer to your question there. You said you ordered my shamanism book and Sunwheel book, and you're thinking of starting the 90-day course next month as well. Well, all right. If you subscribe there, then you will actually have other study materials that will complement your books, which is the stuff in there, especially in the Mastery of Shamanism. We go into depth about stuff that we talk about and stuff that I share about in those books. Anyway, welcome to the channel. I hope it's helpful for you. And just to let you know, going forward, when we do these live streams, what I want is people to ask questions, or I want them to share feelings. And don't get your feelings hurt if I try to tell you exactly how I want you to do that. I have a very specific thing to do with how I like to work my classroom. Okay, so he says, I definitely will now. Well, good for you. Okay, and I look forward to hearing your progress in that. Okay, I don't see any other questions or feelings, so we can just leave it at that. So happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy solstice a couple of days ago, happy whatever the heck it is that you practice. Again, go to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com, because I've got some of my books on audio, which I think are great. And you can just look for all of my books on Amazon. Go to courses.thunderwizard.com to see all of the stuff that I offer, all of my services, all of my teachings, everything. And there you go. That's it. That's all I got, guys. I wish you all the best. I love you. And I do truly, honestly wish you the greatest happiness in your life. And if there's anything I can do to help, I'm here. I've got materials you can take a look at, which hopefully will help you in that endeavor. Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys. See you next time.